Hi, I'm Regina. I'm a Muslim from Malaysia.
Hi, I'm Taha. I'm French, and I'm Muslim, and I practice my religion.
Hi, I'm Ines. I'm from Morocco. I was born and raised as a Muslim, and practice my religion as well.
Hi, I'm Rubaab. I was raised Muslim.
Hi, I'm Amir. I'm a Sunni Muslim. I was raised as in a conservative background. Um, I'm I'm still practicing right now, but not really as hardcore as I was in Malaysia.
Hi, I'm Sakinah. I'm from Malaysia, and yeah, I'm a practicing Muslim as well.
In your respective country, do you think Muslim women are represented in positions of power and leadership, such as politics, business, and religion?
I'm sorry. I would say in Morocco, yes, but not like high proportion. Not because of Islam or anything, but I think because of the society and the customs of the Moroccan society. But we still have like women as ministers, as CEO of big companies, but they're really, really rare.
Even in Malaysia, right now, we have our first deputy prime minister, which is a woman, Muslim woman, which I think which is unprecedented for Malaysia. And in general, I think there's more women now in regards to like proportion in the parliament, and also there's a lot of women also as the head of a lot of movements and NGOs in Malaysia. So I think women right now in 21st century have big role, I would say, in Malaysian politics.
But I will have to disagree on like the business aspect. I think there's discrimination against Muslim women who wear tudung, who wears the hijab, who covers their head. You know, they're discriminated upon entering the workforce. They're discriminated while even yet when they are even like trying to achieve higher positions. So maybe in politics there's some progress there, but in business less so.
But I feel like I mean, it also depends on what kind of company that you're talking about. I think the things that you said might be applied to many multinational corporations that have headquarters outside of the country. But big companies that are even owned by Chinese or Malays or Indians, Malaysians, they are still kind of like open in order to like incorporate Muslim women being the even the directors or senior managers, etc. So I think it might be like less than the proportion in politics, but I think we're moving towards the right direction, I would say.
I think in America, Muslims in general aren't the majority. So not just Muslim women, but also Muslim men. There aren't a lot of people in high positions, from what I've been exposed to. But I know that like Ilhan Omar is a representative in Congress, and like she gained a lot of like popularity. And I think that was really important in helping in progressing the movement of having more Muslim women represented in politics. And myself, I have like all my family members. They're either like, I don't want to flex or anything, okay? But like I'm really proud of a lot of the women in my family because they've all taken it upon themselves to like make it their goal to become leaders in their business or their respective workforce or field of work, whatever. And I think that's really nice for me that I was exposed to that.
Taha, do you want to?
Do you members of the LGBTQIA plus community have a place in Islam?
I don't think LGBTQ community has a place in Islam because it is against Islam to be gay or lesbian or like to not accept its gender or want to change it because it's against the rules of Islam. But I know that there are some branches of Islam, like really liberal branches of Islam that I don't remember the name of because that accepts LGBTQ community. But it's really rare to find that Muslim countries will accept LGBTQ community. The proof is that in Morocco it's illegal, so you can go to jail because you're gay or lesbian up to 5 years or even more, sometimes even 20 years.
in Malaysia, we still have a very strong policy going against LGBT, which I think, like principally speaking, within Islam, if you refer to like different verses from the Quran, it is something that going against nature, like what they always say. However, I think at the end, sometimes we have different core values. However, we can still tolerate all of these things. So it's not, even if this contradiction doesn't mean it has to be, a form of like, how to say, like movement against this group in general. So I think there needs to be more how to say, discussions and in regards to like accepting these people as part of our community and not simply punish them under like criminal justice system, which I think is pretty horrible in Malaysia.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know some people who are devoutly Muslim, but they are members of the LGBTQI community as well. So they have managed to reconcile their faith with who they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, I have a lot of, like 3 friends from Morocco that are gay or like male friends, but they still like identify with Islam because they just interpret like the verses that you talked about as like just I don't know how they interpret them, but they just tell me that Islam is not totally against LGBTQ. It's like they conseil, like it's like not advising it, but that's how they explained it to me, Yeah. So they still pray, they still do Ramadan, but they know they can do nothing about being gay. And they explained to me that it is not against nature because it's not their choice. They tried, but it was not their choice, and that is why like they try to reconcile their faith and being gay or lesbian.
I think that's true though, because like there's no specific verse that says like this is haram or there's a specific punishment for being LGBT in the Quran, but it says a little bit like not natural in a way. So it opens to like different interpretations. By the end, I think all the form of punishment that exists in many Islamic world towards LGBT people are mostly human-made, not what is like specifically told in the Quran.
The issue is that homosexuality is considered as a sin in Islam, but in Islam many things are considered as a sin. If we question about LGBTQ place in Islam, should we also question about place of people who steal or who drink alcohol, because it's also considered as a sin. So
yeah, so it's like a rank of sins. Like all of them are sins, but it seems like we consider some sins to be lesser than other sins.
yeah.
Homophobia.
Homophobia is not tolerated by Islam because heinous behaviors are not tolerated by Islam.
And like the punishment in Malaysia towards LGBT people is not introduced by the Muslims, by the British. So like what we have right now is a remnants of British colonial law or policy towards LGBT people.
And what is the punishment?
Like jail,
Like
for how many years?
rehabilitation. I can't remember exactly.
Decades, right? Like
Not like.
At least it's not that sentence.
But it's mostly like they use like the anti-LGBT people for political tool. For example, our previous leader of opposition was jailed because he was accused for being, for sodomy. So yeah.
Okay, next question. To what degree are Muslim women free to sexually explore themselves?
in Malaysia, that's actually a very interesting topic because we have sunnah. We have a very mild form of female genital mutilation actually. So yeah, it's a cultural thing actually. It's not even a religious thing. It's a cultural thing. So, but we practice it upon newborn babies. So many people would say that is a repression of female sexuality. Yeah, because they cut off the clitoris.
Yeah, we have the same in my sect of Islam, but I also think that even more than that, like there's a lot of separation in masjid, like between men and women. Like they don't want men and women who are not direct family to be like touching each other, and like I think that it's like a lot more relaxed now amongst our generation, but I know that there are some people who like won't even be in the same room alone with a guy for fear of what other people will say.
Okay, I think Islam, just talking about monogamy, that it is the only form of sexual relations allowed, but I'm not sure like anything is mentioned about pleasure in sexual relations or anything. It's just like this is cultural. In Muslim countries, people tend to not talk at all about sexuality, like avoid the subjects as hard as they can, like public, like even the health minister would avoid anything related to sexuality, even in the family, like I don't know for you, but like in Muslim families would avoid talking about those stuff if your parents are not like really open-minded. So like women, like most of the time guys talking about sexuality is kind of accepted, but women talking about it is just not that much accepted, but I think it's cultural. It's not related to Islam at all.
It's really cultural thing.
Yeah.
In my madrasa, they once had a class that we had to. It was terrible, you guys. They had the guys and the girls all together in a room, and our janab, as like the principal, he was sitting in the front, and he was like, "Okay, these are the rules about sex," and rather than telling us like contraception, things like that, it was like stuff about when you can and cannot have sex. Like you cannot do it during a hurricane. And it was so awkward. I was like, why are you the one telling us? Like, nobody is going to be in the middle of a hurricane and thinking about this. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that was the most, like, sexual, that was as close as we got to being able to learn about it in madrasa.
I don't know if Malaysia, you have what we call Islamic courses in middle school, high school.
Yeah,
it's compulsory.
Especially when,
it's
like in
compulsory.
Moroccan system, it's compulsory as well. But then I remember when I was young and we have those courses, we didn't talk that much about sexuality. We just talk about like where like you shouldn't pray when you have your period. You should remain virgin until your marriage. But we never had like something to back it up. Like Islam proves to back it up. And like apart from the thing about prayer, but like we never talked about sexuality. Like they tried to avoid it as hard as they could. How about Malaysia?
Like in Malaysia, we have right now, even in like the past year, we have a huge debate about sexual education, because people advocate like a lot of liberals like advocate for sexual education, because baby dumping is a huge issue in Malaysia, and of course the one who goes against this, Muslim hardliners or Muslim party in Malaysia that says this is an encouragement of sexual interactions, sexual activities amongst the youth. So yeah, it's a big thing right now, and we cannot find the middle ground between these two. So it shows how much how awkward it is to talk about sexual stuff in general.
We seriously need to like open up this sexual discussion more and more, because what I see is that, for example, in one very hardcore Malaysian Islamic state, in this state they have the highest abortion rate, and I think probably the reason is that they don't discuss much about sexuality, that people go undercover to do all those stuff and end up with a lot of abortion problems. So
I think the more you forbid something, the more people want it. So when you forbid like sexual relations outside of marriage, people will just hide and do it. It will not mean like it will stop. So maybe things will change in the future. Hope so. Okay, next question.
Ask for the photo.
Oh.
The famous photo.
Scary.